Hello my friends, how are you all keeping? Very well I hope. Welcome to the channel. It's a Sunday morning here in Ireland, down in Cork, and I have a nice little tutorial for you this week. I think you'll enjoy this. Let me show you what I have. A lovely little scene with a kind of an orangey umbrella. Highlights, darks on it, nice kind of figure in silhouette, some nice light on the ground. This is going to be nice. I think you'll enjoy painting this. Let me go in there now a little bit more so you can see it. Isn't that lovely? I think we'll have a bit of fun with this today. I'll try and keep it simple for you. I do like to simplify paintings as much as possible, but especially with the person and the umbrella, there'll be a little bit of detail in there. If you're struggling with the drawing of this, practice a few times on a bit of paper with a pencil, and just before you go on to your painting, because it can be very tricky sometimes. If you paint a beautiful background, you can be afraid in case you mess it up putting in that figure with an umbrella or something like that. So it can be nerve-wracking, especially for a lot of beginners, because you're afraid in case you spoil what you have. But don't be nervous, okay? It's just paint. If you make a mistake, wipe it off with some tissue and just blend your background back in again. Just, don't shy away from painting things in detail on a painting, because that's how we learn, isn't it? If you don't take a chance, you'll never know. So that's what I say, just try it, just give it a go. Right, I have a 16 by 12 canvas here. I have some colours on my palette, just a handful of colours, not many, and let's have a bit of fun with this and see how this looks at the end. I hope it turns out nice. I'd say I get this done in one tutorial. Could be around 40 minutes, maybe 50 minutes, something like that. Let's just try it and see. So just follow me along if you want. If you want to get your canvas and have a go off of this, do. And if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. Just send me an email or leave a comment. I do read every comment. I do. Sometimes I might not have a chance to reply to a comment because life gets busy and all of that. But I do read every single comment, and I appreciate every comment as well. Thank you so much. Do subscribe and hit the thumbs up button as well. It just helps push the channel out there a bit more, so more and more people can benefit. So let's have a bit of fun with this. Don't go anywhere. Rightio, here we go. This is my canvas. I did a very loose sketch of just that person with the umbrella, just to get a bit of scale in the painting. Okay, I might end up painting over most of this, but I might just go around the umbrella if I can, just to keep the canvas white so we get some nice vibrant colours later on. My colours are titanium white, Naples yellow, magenta, lamp black, phthalo blue, cadmium yellow and cadmium red. They're my colours. I have some linseed oil with some turpentine down here, with some tissue. Now what I'm going to do is just give this a coat of linseed oil, okay? Just to make this nice and oily. That's all I want to do. So I'm taking some normal linseed oil here, okay? Artist linseed oil. You don't have to use this if you're not great around, smells and that kind of thing. But I don't mind. I actually quite like the smell. It's very nostalgic for me because it just brings back memories years ago when I was very, very young, when I was a young kid, and I bought linseed oil for the first time, and the particular smell is just so nice. I don't know what it is. It's just me, but if you're sensitive to these kinds of smells, you can use liquid clear as well. That's absolutely fine. Or just some thinners. You can get low odour thinners as well, which is absolutely fine. But it's personal preference. I just want to oil the surface ever so slightly, just to help these colours soften together and allow me to blend these colours really nicely together as well. So there we go, done. There's the reference photograph. Let's start. Excuse me. I have a bit of a cough this morning, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to just dampen my brush. I'm going to start with that very light grey up here. It's a very light grey, but I'm going to add a touch of blue into this. Let's take some white, a little bit of black, touch of phthalo blue, and I just want to capture the sort of brightness up there. And you can see now this is moving around nicely on the canvas. It's quite a thin coat as well. So I'm not putting on very thick coats of paint, all right? That's very important. So I'm just going to get this kind of a light bluish shade up here. Now as it comes down, I'm going to just add touches of magenta because I want a slight, I won't say pink, I just want a kind of a warm shade and then a bit of black. So it goes very dark very quickly, doesn't it? Now you can kind of make this up yourself as you're going along. You can add your own shades into this if you like. It's completely up to you. So that nice dark grey colour, and it's just such a nice photograph. There's just, you're getting lots of, let's say, what I call, you're getting lots of battles on the canvas. So the light is fighting with the dark is fighting with the light, and it goes on and on. It's just fantastic. It's very interesting, this type of a background. And of course that rich umbrella just in the middle, it really catches the eye, doesn't it? Now let's start going. I'm going to go a touch on the greeny side. So what I'm doing is I'm taking lamp black, phthalo blue, and a tiny touch of Naples yellow. That Naples yellow with this phthalo blue, it gives you this kind of greeny grey, okay? A very dark grey, but there's a kind of a green undertone in the grey. Let me show you. You can probably see it better there now. So that's what I would say is a kind of a warm grey. It's a warm, earthy kind of a grey. Now the linseed oil is very, very important here. Or the thinners that you have, the wet background is very important because that's going to allow us to get the effect that we want. I'm going to go right through the figure here, put that in afterwards, and I'm just going to kind of soften all of this now up together. Soften it all, just go around in little swirls with your brush, get it all nice and merged together. Merge all these colours in together, get them nice and soft. Because I want to give the impression in a minute of rain coming down. So I just want all of this to be nice and soft. And what I'm going to do here is just suggest, maybe, you see that the tree kind of coming out? Just going to try and suggest that a little bit as well, just by dabbing. Put a little bit over here. Don't forget, all of this will be softened in with a brush in a moment. So just take your time with this. Let's keep going. Let's try that again. Stronger colour, phthalo blue, Naples yellow, bit of black. It's a bit more on the bluey side now, but you can see it's slightly darker and richer in colour. You just want to get that nice and sort of dark down there. A little bit more black, maybe a touch of magenta. So you can see how I sort of mess around with my colours. I just add little bits in. I'm suggesting one or two trees over here. Just a couple of thin trees coming up. So a nice soft background we have going on. So let's stop now and take a look at what we have. Okay, let's not just, let's stop a moment, have a look. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to take a large soft brush. All right. I think I'm happy enough with that so far. I'm going to start at the bright side here and just kind of soften that in and start going into my trees very, very softly. I'm just gently going around in circles with my soft brush just to merge it together, get it nice and soft, get a nice fuzzy feeling. With the tree trunks, I'm going to just go up like this and soften them away into that colour above. So you can see now we have a soft effect, but you can still see the direction of the brush stroke, so to speak. You can see the different sections of the darks and lights. So that's what I'm trying to kind of keep, all right? There, how's that? That's a nice fuzzy background now, isn't it? Let's keep going. What I might do actually, okay, as I'm here, as I'm here, I might just take a small brush and I might just suggest one or two tree trunks a little bit stronger in colour. All right, just coming up there. Just take a bit of black, Naples yellow, just something dark. Let's get something dark, a bit more black perhaps. I just want to bring those out just that little bit more, make them just that little bit more defined. That's all it is. That's the word I'm looking for, defined. And let's get another one here. That's a little bit better now, isn't it? That's a bit more defined is the word we're looking for. Soften them away. So now we have just a bit of a stronger colour, don't we? Now I want to darken it over on that side as well a little bit more. So a bit more lamp black, a bit of phthalo blue. Just want to go that little bit darker, just a bit. Okay, not too much, but just a little bit. Leave it come out, just to suggest that tree a little bit in a stronger colour over here. And maybe sit those down a little bit as well. So we can, we can add our own to this. We can make it our own. We can change it if we like. It's completely up to us. It's our painting. Again, on with the soft brush and just very gently soften those away. You see, I'm just being very loose with the brush. You can see my technique. I'm just being very random with my brush just to soften it back slightly, ever so slightly. Now that's a bit better, isn't it? Let's come on down and bring a nice dark colour down. I think that's probably all right even. Let's take a little bit of Naples yellow in that. We'll start with this nice medium colour. A little bit of black, a little touch more blue. Now this is the type of background that you can really have a lot of fun with. Okay, you can really get your technique out and, just there's no pressure with a background like this. You can just have a bit of fun with it. That's why I love painting these types of backgrounds. As we come towards the middle, take a bit of blue and a bit of white into that. Get some brighter colour. Just start, just the beginnings of it. Okay, we're just kind of putting in our brights, putting in our darks, and then we go more refined as we go. There's no real lines per se, you can't really tell where they meet. So I'm just kind of tend to soften them together just a little bit. So you can see it just kind of disappears off into the distance, doesn't it? Now again, use your own initiative here, okay? Don't be afraid to add your own shades and your own colours. Don't be afraid, it's only paint. Now I'm going to go in with a nice rich black, a bit of blue, and I'm going to get a tiny hint of yellow. I'm just going to suggest a hint of a green over here, and you can see the green in the photograph. It just complements the painting, doesn't it, or the photograph. It really complements everything. And I might add a touch of it there. You see, it's just a touch. Now I'll go in with some yellow. Just take some cadmium yellow and just brighten that ever so slightly with some cadmium yellow. Again, little suggestion of that reflection there. Then we take a bit of black, go along this with a bit of black. Just to suggest a bank along there. Just a very, very, very light suggestion of a bank. Then we go with our soft brush again, and we just soften that back off into the distance, you see. Keeping it all nice and soft and fuzzy. So we're coming along nicely, aren't we? Already, we've a lot done already. You know, this backgrounds like this can go very, very quickly. Let's go into some black. I'm thinking black and a touch of phthalo blue. And I'm going to just darken this area here. And down at the bottom of all of this, you can see it's literally swirls like this. Just go along like this. This is kind of the beginning of it, we'll say. Do the same on this side. Because I tend to put my darks in first and then work my lights in afterwards. That's normally how I paint these types of subjects. So I put my darks in. All our lights will go in later. But I'm just kind of getting the rhythm of the scene. That's what I would call it. I'm just kind of getting into it ever so slightly. Just starting to put brush strokes in the direction you see. You can see everything sort of just goes left to right around here. Now I go in with some rich dark, bit of magenta perhaps. I get some nice rich dark in here, this corner. Gently dragging that colour across. Bit more blue over on this side. Okay, a little suggestion of a path off in the distance. Right, so we have that much done so far. That's quite good. We're getting there slowly. I'm going to move to a different brush. I'm thinking maybe something slightly smaller like this. I'm just going to dampen it first. I always dampen my brushes first when they're new, when I just start using them, and I dry it. Just to get any remnants of paint out, okay? I'm going to start going into some lights. So, a little bit of titanium white, a little bit of phthalo blue, not too much blue, okay? This needs to be, but it's still soft. Maybe a touch of Naples yellow, just to soften it back ever so slightly. And we're going to just start picking out little areas. So the suggestion of a little footpath off up in the distance up there, okay? And it gets nice and light. It's reflecting the sky. It's reflecting the sunlight here. So you can see now how I'm just starting to pick out little hints of light. And you could, I suppose, you could actually just use a palette knife for a lot of this as well, if you wanted. Completely up to yourself. Just putting a couple of wiggles here and there, just to start bringing out some of the lights on this. So you're slowly developing. You don't want to go in there and just try and do it all at once in one go. You're just slowly developing your lights. You see, a bit more white. This is, just take your time and try your best just to kind of learn a few things about your brush strokes, and, you know, do one or two brush strokes, sit back, take a look. That's the way I would say to you, you know, don't just go in and paint a load at once, especially if you're just kind of learning. Just put a couple of marks, sit back quickly, take a look, and then keep going. So how are we going here now? This is, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. I'm going to just soften everything off in the distance. Now what I might do is, I want to create the impression of a little bit of rain sort of coming down. This can be a tricky thing to do. I'm going to take some white on a fan brush, just that kind of light bluey shade, let's say. Just a little bit, okay? I'm just going to kind of start putting a suggestion of rain in one direction like this. Look, I'm barely touching the canvas. I'm just allowing just here and there to kind of grab the grain of the canvas. Now you might not be able to see that very well, but up close you can see it. And then I just very gently, I will go back onto this there again later. I might do a little bit of this again later, but I want to do all of this before I do the umbrella. So this all has to be done first. I think it's time to start going into a little bit more detail, don't you? With these reflections and all of that. So I'll go to a smaller flat brush. I just need to find a nice flat brush now, because some of these brushes aren't the best. They're quite worn, and when the brush gets worn, the tip of the brush opens up. Now this might not be too bad. I'm going to go and I'm going to try with a bit of black first. Okay. I'm going to just start getting the circle of this. So it comes out like this, look, and it goes around like that, doesn't it? So I'm just going to start wiggling my brush. When you're painting stuff like this and reflections and things like that, I always tend to go just horizontal with your brush strokes. So everything is just horizontal, left to right, left to right. And lots of little wiggles. That's probably the best way I can describe what I'm doing. So I want to get the impression of water, okay? That I'm trying to get that impression. So again, left to right, left to right. The figure, I'm going to say, starts around here, okay? I'm just going to block it in like this, just to give me a reference. That's all, just to give me a good reference. Now go right into some black, and let's just start putting in the figure. Like so. Now, that can be the reflection of the figure already in. I need to get a very flat brush. There we go, I have one here. So, even a pointy brush will do you for this, alright? Or just a very little flat, pointy brush. You see that? Very pointy. See what I mean? And I'm going to just go along and start putting across very fine little lines. I just want to start suggesting the curve of this big puddle here, okay? And the very, very subtle lines. They are very subtle. Maybe a little bit of blue in there as well. So now we're starting to get the outline, and this is very important. Just take your time with this, okay? Now when we start putting in our lights very soon, these darks will really start to show. That's the trick. So I'm just getting lots of little darks in first. I'm getting ready for my lights. So I go in here now, and even in this reflection here, I'm just going to refine some of them just to make them that little bit more solid. You know what I mean. Now I'm going to go over this with my soft brush and just soften these away very slightly, because I want it to be all nice and soft. Okay, there we go. Now comes the fun, interesting part, getting this big puddle done. A lot of people shy away from this kind of painting, okay? Painting a big puddle like this. A lot of people shy away from it. But look, don't be afraid. Just grab the brush and go for it. Let's just take a bit of a very light blue. I'm going to say light blue, not white. I want to keep my whites until the very end. I'm going to start with a light blue. See if this covers okay. Let's start over here. Okay, a lot of light over here. You see this? Let's just start wiggling our brush and just letting the paint randomly come off the brush. But remember, it's all little wiggles. Keep your brush left to right at all times, okay? So I'm going around in a curve and I'm creating the shape of the puddle. You see what I mean? So it's starting to come to life. And it takes time. It's not going to just happen immediately. You have to kind of take your time with this. Just put little marks on here and there. And I will leave my palette knife, I'd say, until the very end. Again, we come over here. We add nice, plenty of lights across this. And you will find, because it's oils, you will find it difficult to get the paint to stick. So it'll tend to kind of merge into all this colour very quickly. But all I would say to you is just keep reloading your brush. Just clean your brush on tissue and keep reloading with plenty of fresh paint, okay? We can see we're starting to get a puddle appearing. So let's just keep going. Now we're going to some white this time. And just go along up here. Dab some white across. We can start going off into the distance as well. Just very gently. And we can come down here, we can add one or two across here as well. So you can see how, these little dabs of white, they tend to just bring everything to life. You see those little dabs? That's what I kind of tend to just dab the brush here and there, very randomly. Tiny, tiny marks. They make all the difference. You see how that just sort of brings everything to life. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a palette knife. And I just want to get that kind of messy feeling just in around the centre. You see all of that? We grab some white with this sharp-edged palette knife, this pointy one. Okay? And just to create the impression of, you know, all the rain is splashing on the floor and all of that, so it's kicking up a mess. So there's going to be lots of just dabs of paint. Look, just lots of little dabs. Come over here, we can go around and just refine some of them. And this just tends to put a nice random paint on the canvas with the palette knife. That's what it does. And you can get these more solid little marks. You see those? That's what catches the eye, these thick little lumps of paint. They tend to kind of jump off the canvas. And just very odd one or two just around here, look. Just barely touching the canvas. And then let that just disappear off. We create a little bit of a shimmer as we go off into the distance. A little bit of a shimmer on the road. Now that on its own is probably even fine. You know, you wouldn't have to kind of necessarily keep going with this, but I mean that would probably suit just fine. Let's just dab it around here. Create a bit of texture to suggest all the rain coming off that umbrella. Okay? Now that's not bad. I will take a bit of black and I will just go in under here with some black and just darken it here and there. You see the way we have some of that dark colour, just to set that splash kind of on the ground, give it a little bit of a shading as well. And how is this looking so far? I mean, that's not too bad, is it? It's not too bad. What I might do is put a suggestion of raindrops coming down. I'm going to zoom in for this. I hope you don't mind. Now, there we go. What I want to do, and it's slightly off centre, isn't it? So I need to bring this side up ever so slightly. I'm just going to use my palette knife for that. I'm going to take some of this dark colour and I'm going to just sort of come down here with some dark colour first, just to even that off. And I am going to come up around here. I'm going to just add one or two dark lines just to bring that side up ever so slightly, look. Then we can take a bit more of our light colour and we can lighten this up here a little bit more. Now that's kind of leveled it slightly, hasn't it? I'm going to get a very pointy brush now, my very small, fine, pointy, detailed brush. I'm going to start with some white. I hope you can see this okay. I'm literally going to just put very subtle little marks coming down, and as we get up here there's a lot more on the edge of the umbrella coming down. We'll put one or two over on this side, little curves, look, just small curves as they catch the light. Not too much, I don't want to kind of go, you know, I don't want to go crazy with this. Then go into some black. Pick up a little bit of black with some thinners and simply just add a little touch of shading, just a little curve under these, under some of them. Not every one of them, but just a little darkness. That's not bad. It's just, again, it's just an impression. That's all we're after. You don't have to go to huge detail now for all of this, okay? I'm just trying to give a very loose impression of little water droplets coming off of the umbrella. That's all it is. That's all I'm trying to do. Take a bit of white, then just pop a little couple of dabs of white, just to suggest tiny touches of detail here and there. There we go. Now, I don't think that's too bad. Look, we can still work on this in here. We can take away some of it if we like. It's up to ourselves. If you feel there's too much in around here, you can just, look, merge it back out of your painting. Just swirl your brush through it and just lose some of it. I am going to, let me see now, what should I do? I think I'll put some more rain coming down from the sky, just a little bit on your brush, and I'm going to literally just go like this, at an angle. And then we'll just soften back in ever so slightly. If you're worried about this kind of a step here now, then just leave your painting as it is. If you're a little bit nervous, just leave it as it is, because I'm only just trying to add an effect. I'm trying to just, you know, mess around with colours and that kind of thing. That's all I'm trying to do. Let's go on to the figure. Let's start putting the figure in. Now, so far this looks quite nice, doesn't it? I'm quite happy with this. Let's get some black, okay? I'm thinking just black on its own, no thinners. I'll start maybe just with curves here. So maybe just like this, okay? So something like that. The same on this side. Coming down, and then another curve like that. Let's fill this in. We can put in our little lights in between in a minute. Let's just fill it all in with black. Just reload my palette there. Let's keep going. Okay. You see, I'm always worried about scale. I'm always worried about, did I make it too low? Should it be higher? Should it be lower? That's a very, very difficult thing to achieve sometimes in painting. The problem is, if you make this too big first time, it's going to be very difficult to fix it. But I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. Let's just look. All we can do is try, isn't it? Now, again, I'll just darken. I'm going to just fix all of this here. This is a bit too low down, isn't it? Bring the arms down a bit more, I think. That's not too bad. I'll stick with that. Yeah, I'll stick with that. I'm not going to try and, you know, get it all perfect. It's very difficult to get this perfect, this kind of a thing. Especially figures like this. Very difficult. Just do some more down here, just to bring out that darker colour again. Okay, there we go. I'm going to bring some of that lighter rain colour just in around the bottom here, just to create a bit of splash, and that just helps it merge into the ground as well and kind of ground the figure, so to speak. You see what I mean? We have a couple of little lines in between the legs. Let's just pop those in very, very gently. I'll take a little bit of light blue and just suggest, just slightly suggest one or two very faint lines. Okay, I think that's enough. That's all we need. We are onto the umbrella. And let me zoom back slightly for you. There we go. Now, we're back in business again. Let's go nice, bright, rich colours. I will go to this brush here, and I am going to just start with maybe the light side. So a bit of cadmium yellow, a bit of Naples yellow, and a bit of cadmium red. Just avoid getting any green on your brush, okay? Or a bit of blue or whatever. If you can, try your best just to avoid that. Let's get this nice colour on here. nice and thick. Okay, we start with that side. We start warming it as we go along. So it goes more to an orangey shade. Now I might have to make the umbrella slightly bigger to fit the scale of the person. Do you understand? So that's what can happen sometimes. You know, if you end up painting the person too big, then you have to increase the size of your umbrella to match the scale. That's all it is. So it's just about making it that little bit bigger. Let's get some lines in down here. One here. I'm going to use a fine pointy brush for a moment and just get my lines drawn in here, okay? It'll just help. So we've that one there, and we've another one here. You see what I mean? It just helps you get the lines in properly. There we go. We've one like that, we've one like that, and we've another one that just comes sort of upwards, don't we? Like so. And then we can fill that in. No problem at all. Let's get some rich red. I see a nice rich red on this side. I like that. Lovely colour, isn't it? Then we'll add more to this one here. And it's like painting by numbers from here on. Let's take a bit of yellow on our brush. Pop a nice rich yellow up there. So these are very complementary colours now, aren't they? Okay. And that's looking quite nice so far. Again, let's keep going. Let's try a bit of magenta with some cadmium red. That'll really give us a nice bit of a punch, won't it? Let's get that over here. So it's just about shading now from here on. So shading from the bottom up, it just goes darker to a light, doesn't it? Now I want to show you a trick as well in a moment. I think you might like it. It's a little trick that I've learned many times. I've painted this many times, this kind of a scene. So I'm going to show you now in just a moment, and I want to see what you think about this. But first I'm just going to keep going with this. Getting my, you see how I'm just kind of grading it. Now, we need to get some darker shades in here. So I'm going to go red, magenta, a tiny touch of black. You could even go black and magenta. That would work as well. I just want a dark shade for here, okay? You see this dark we have? We can go from the bottom up. And maybe get the smaller brush. Add a little darker shade down here. Now you can use your small pointy brush for this if you like, okay? If it's easier for you to use a pointy brush, just use your pointy brush. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, that's what I would say to you, okay? So we've that bit of shading going on there. I'm going to go to some rich cadmium red. Add that in along here on its own. See, nice vibrant colours. And then I go into some cadmium yellow. Let me just clean my brush first. Make sure it's lovely and clean. Let's go into some rich cadmium yellow and really hit this with some thick, bright paint. That's much better now, isn't it? You can even use like an impasto technique if you want, with your palette knife as well, just to get all these thick colours on there, get them all covered. A little bit over here, a bit there, a little bit coming down in the middle one here. Okay, and let me see now, we're looking quite well so far. Maybe a touch of Naples with cadmium. And we just hit this with some highlights. Maybe a bit of white. Now I'll move on to my small detail brush. So grab a little detail brush. Let's refine these lines. Let's get a little bit of this magenta with the cadmium red, a bit of black. Let's just get a dark winey colour on our brush. And let's just refine the edges of these, just simply to give them a little bit of detail, that's all. Help them stand out that little bit better. Okay, just like that. We can use the same colour to separate the separate areas on the umbrella. Okay, just a little bit of dark colour, doesn't matter, any colour at all once it's dark. The spines, is that what it's called? The spines of the umbrella. Then we get a little bit of black on top. Soften that in. Clean the brush again. Grab a dab of white for the top. Now, I'm going to soften these. Like so. And the trick I wanted to show you earlier was, you know the way sometimes you can see a person's head through an umbrella. You can see the shadow of them. I'm going to try it. Come on. I'm going to take a bit of magenta, a little bit of black, so just to give me a dark purpley colour. I'm going to suggest the person, you can see the shape of the person's head, we'll say, through the umbrella. You see that? That's all you need. Very, very simple suggestion. Then I'll just go back and refine the edge of this line here. You see how that just adds a little bit more of life to the umbrella? I think it does. I'm just going to go with my pointy brush and add, let's just add little bits of rich colour to this. Now after this, my friends, it's completely up to you what you would like. I know the figure's probably a little bit too wide or something, you know, here and there, but that's, I don't mind, that's fine. You know, you can leave it or you can keep working on it if you like, it's up to yourself. It's completely up to yourself. I'm just going to add a suggestion more of these little raindrops coming down. Just one or two. I don't want to go overboard with this, and perhaps just one or two small little suggestions of a little, you know, little water droplets hitting the water down here. Just one or two little dabs with your brush. That just gives you an extra little bit of life in the painting, that's all it is, okay? And my friends, I'm going to call this, I think this is finished. You know, I don't want to keep going at this. If there's a chance we could mess up what we have, we're probably better off just leaving it. It's very difficult to know when to stop, isn't it? That's what I find with painting. That's my downfall. Sometimes I just keep going and going until you realise you've went too far. So maybe it's time for me to stop. And I want to leave it at that, my friends. I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. Now look at that. We created this beautiful painting in just that short time. I'm showing 48 minutes. Isn't that amazing? 48 minutes for this lovely painting. So just remember, try to have fun with your painting, okay? Don't don't take it too seriously. And pop some on with a knife as well. Look, that'll give you some lovely rich texture as well. Get a little bit of a darker shade over on this side. See, there's loads of different techniques you can try. There we go. Complementary colours, everyone. Complementary colours. Let me put a quick signature on this. And there we go. Now I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I hope you've learned just to, that's quite nice. That's a nice eye-catching painting now, isn't it? That's quite nice. I think that's kind of, you know, I think that will really catch your eye when it's framed. I do have a frame here somewhere, but it's over there somewhere. Thank you so much for watching me and for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you've learned a few little things. Mainly just kind of keeping loose. I always say this with every tutorial. Just try and keep your brush strokes nice and loose, and don't tense up. Don't tense up, and try not to be too worried if you make a little mistake. It can be fixed. Okay, you can just scrape it off with a palette knife and just soften the colour back and start again. But don't be afraid to try something different. That may look like a complicated painting to do, but as you can see, it's just brush strokes, little wiggles and horizontal brush strokes. Follow the curve around for your reflection, and just kind of dab with your palette knife, just add texture to it. Just try it. Let me know what you think when you do it, okay? Let me know if you found it difficult or if you were quite pleasantly surprised by the results of you trying it, okay? Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back very soon with another tutorial here on easy oil painting. Like and subscribe, and I'll be back very soon. Have an absolutely brilliant day. Have a fantastic day. God bless and take care.